I was just going to say a couple of examples. So sometimes when people look at payment plans, they talk about them being cookie cut. So they would just go, okay, we'll divide it by 12 months. So I just thought I'd follow on from what Mark was saying for some examples. So I've been helping a landscaper who's in Tasmania, and their industry is very dependent on the seasons. So he's been educating me about the dry season and about the wet season. And so the payment plan that we will be proposing for him is going to actually match the cash flow of the seasons. And another interesting one that we've been assisting on and working in conjunction, exactly as Mark said, with specialists, and working in relation to an R&D grant that another client was obtaining, is that they owed about $2 million, but we were able to get them a payment plan for the first 6 months that they only had to pay $5,000 a month. And then in month 6, they were getting a huge injection of capital from the R&D grant. So it's very much about looking at every single client's circumstances and tailoring what they need to that, whilst working with the funders or the other advisors to get the client to where they need to go.
That's interesting, because I probably would have just assumed that, a payment plan means like same thing every month, like much like a bill or any other kind of repayment plan that you kind of just see out in the wild for individuals.
So I think I sometimes joke that anyone can get a payment plan, but whether it's a good one or not is a completely different story. Whether you can afford it, whether it's right for you. So if it's submitted and done in the correct way, it shouldn't necessarily be cookie cutter, and it shouldn't just be divided by the amount of months.
Fantastic. I didn't know that, so it's going to be learning some really cool stuff today. Besides the payment plans, which we know are really important, are there any other effective strategies for engaging with the ATO when dealing with tax debt, Olga?
So I think engagement is the key. So I've been talking a lot about eating the frog. So the colloquial saying that we've got to eat the frog. We can't ignore it. We can't have our head in the sand. So we need to engage. So if you can't pay the debt in full, your payment plan is actually your golden answer. You need to engage, and you need to be in a payment plan to prevent further action. And that is the way, if you can't pay in full, to protect yourself. There is also a possibility to reduce the debt by considering the interest and penalties. It's not a given, and there's been a lot of press around the ATO saying you won't automatically get the interest and penalties back when the debt's paid. There are what's called legal practice requirements that are laws in what needs to be met to get that interest back. But again, with the right application, that interest can be remitted, and we're still having great success in getting that interest remitted, which is reducing the debt, which is a helpful strategy as well.
Interesting. I know that we were going to keep most of the audience questions to the end, but there was one that's actually really relevant, so I might just throw that to you now. Yep. Read the payment plan. Do you roll over the next BAS and tax return debt, or do you renegotiate?
So again, if we go back to pub talk, so the ATO is a very moving beast at the moment. So the landscape is changing very quickly. So in the past, probably 6 months and beyond, a lot of people would just roll their BAS in and then renegotiate. But if you don't pay your BAS on time and in full when you're in a payment plan, it defaults the payment plan. So that is a mark, and the ATO are looking a lot at compliance history. So every time you're not paying a BAS in full when you're in a payment plan, it will default, and you need to go back and renegotiate. So look, that still can be done once. Or a lot of clients are coming to us saying, we've had a lot this month, I can't pay my BAS, it's defaulted my payment plan. It requires a whole new application. So it is possible to then reapply for a new payment plan, but it's not automatically given that every 3 months you can just roll your BAS in. And after about once or twice, the ATO won't agree to it.